today. The topic of this roundtable is from local journeys to the global impact, strengthening the social entrepreneurship ecosystem. Right. So the virtual panel discussion that we have today, the distinguished panelists that we have in front of us will center around the Social Entrepreneur of the Year India Awards and how do they empower social entrepreneurs to make a lasting impact. I see a lot of engagement, people joining us. So let me just put up a picture in front of you before I kind of move ahead. And yes, it should come. Yeah. So for those, who are kind of for the first time looking at this or getting to know about this award, have not heard much about this award. I'm sure most of you must have heard. This is something that kind of captures the essence of this award. So this is the 16 years of legacy. The people who have made this a huge, a huge event, a huge program, a huge community in itself. This image is something that gives you an idea of the depth of this in kind of the work that has happened behind this. So I wanted to share this and then just move ahead. So this is the 17th edition of the Social Entrepreneur of the Year Award. So in our effort to kind of outreach the social change makers for this award, the team from Aspire for Her, which is led by our own finalist, Ms. Madhura Das Gupta Sinha, who is also part of this panel, has been a key support. So first of all, I welcome their team and kind of the entire entrepreneurial network, which is joining us today. So thank you so much. Just a quick backdrop of the award, the Social Entrepreneur of the Year Award. It is a joint initiative and has been introduced through the joint collaboration between Jubilant Bhartia Foundation and Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, which is just a concern of World Economic Forum. So the award is given with the objective of recognizing promising successful social entrepreneurs, some of which are here in the panel today, and you'll hear a lot about their journey with excellence in large and system change models, which they have brought in. Right. So since the beginning of this partnership, we have, just to give you some facts, we have reviewed and screened over 3,000 applications in identifying over 50 plus finalists. And in these last 16 years, wonderful 16 outstanding winners that we have over here. So this award is instituted, as I said, by the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, the detail of which you'll hear more in the panel itself. But 1971, January 24 was the date when Professor Klaus Schwab started World Economic Forum, which is one of the leading organizations in promoting global partnership, public-private institution, engaging business and political leaders to shape the global dialogue. And I think we all are aware of the annual Davos summit and the kind of engagement it brings in the entire geographical, right? And in line of that, in 1998, Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship was founded as a sister concern of the World Economic Forum to promote global collaboration to support the social change makers, building communities of social entrepreneurs to drive meaningful change at the bottom of the pyramid. So now we are in the 17th year of this collaboration, of our collaboration with Schwab Foundation. So who are part of this conversation, the people who are here attending this webinar and sharing it. So we have people who are aspiring and established social entrepreneurs, social incubators and accelerators, investors and philanthropists, non-profits and NGO leaders, academicians, and leaders from NGO, non-profit organization, policymakers and government official. So in a time when technology and AI are rapidly redefining our economy, society, social entrepreneurs serves as the conscience of innovation, ensuring that the growth is not only just fast, but fair, inclusive and sustainable. And beat any time social entrepreneurs have always carved a niche for them and, kind of bringing an inclusive society. So platforms like Social Entrepreneur of the Year are one of the larger, so as to say, larger medium of helping or contributing to the growth of these social entrepreneurs. So now we are honored to have a very distinguished panel among us today. The leaders who bring deep experience as founders, ecosystem builders, global advocates, to share their journeys, reflection on the impact of this award, the nature of this award. So I'll just go around one by one and just introducing our panelists, the distinguished panelists that we have. We have Mr. Aniket Doigar. So Mr. Aniket Devgar is the founder of and CEO of Haq Darshak, a tech-enabled social enterprise that has helped 7 million families, over 7 million families, and 100,000 micro businesses. I mean, huge numbers, benefiting worth 20,000 crore plus economic inclusion, powered by 45,000 trained women agents. Now, that's a huge number. He's a strong advocate for welfare, accessibility, economic inclusion. He's a Social Entrepreneur of the Year, India winner 2022, and Schwab Foundation Global Social Innovator 2023. Aniket is part of the global community, shaping policy, system level change in social protection. He's also featured in Forbes 30 Under 30 in the year 2019 and continues to champion technology-led solutions that strengthen last mile governance and citizen empowerment. We welcome Ms. Ashraf Patel. Ms. Ashraf Patel is a leading practitioner of Inside Out Youth Leadership, co-founding Prava and Community to nurture thousands of change makers across India. She co-created Varta Leap, a coalition of 150 plus stakeholders, mission advocating every youth a Jagrik. Winner of the SEOY India Award 2018, she is widely recognized for advancing youth-centric development, civic engagement, and value-based social transformation. Through her work, she has helped position youth as active citizens, co-leaders in societal change, influencing national discourse on leadership, citizenship, and democracy. We welcome Mr. Chintan Bakshi. Mr. Chintan Bakshi is a partner at IMA Ventures, which is the sister concern of India's premier institution for incubation and offshoot of IIM Ahmedabad, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He has worked for over 20 years across the grassroots innovation, incubation, and startup ecosystem, building especially in tier 2, tier 3 areas. At IMA Ventures, he supports deep tech, sustainability, digital first startups with early to grow stage startup and strategic guidance. He has previously co-founded Procure's internet services and led United Villages Network, collectively engaging with thousands of emerging ventures across rural and urban India. His work strongly advocates democratizing entrepreneurship for Bharat by enabling founders beyond metros to scale sustainably. I welcome our guest, Dr. Suchin Bajaj, who is founder and director of Ujala Cygnus Healthcare Services. He leads Ujala Cygnus, a network of over 27 hospitals with more than 3,000 beds across underserved regions, providing affordable and quality healthcare. A vocal advocate of equitable health access, he has driven telemedicine and frontline pandemic intervention at scale. He was recently appointed to the National Accreditation Board for Hospital and Healthcare Providers, NABH in short, a key national quality body under Quality Council of India. Recognize his contribution to improving healthcare standards nationwide. Winners of Social Entrepreneur of the Year, ADIA 2023, and later honored as the Global Social Entrepreneur of the Year 2024. He continues to expand access to high quality and affordable care. I welcome our partner and collaborator for those 16 years from Schwab Foundation Social Entrepreneurship, Dr. Francois Bonici. Dr. Francois is a director at Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship and head of social innovation at World Economic Forum, shaping global agendas for social entrepreneurship and system change. a public health physician, award-winning author. His work bridges frontline humanitarian practice with high-level policy and philanthropy. He previously founded the Bertha Center for Social Innovation, Africa's first academic hub for social innovation, and has been recognized as a Rhodes Scholar, Archbishop Tutu African Leadership Fellow, an Oxford Visiting Fellow. His advocacy focuses on building catalytic cross-sector partnership that enable social enterprises to scale their impact globally. So our next and a partner for this outreach program, our next panelist, distinguished panelist is Ms. Madhura Das Gupta Sinha. She's the founder of Aspire for Her. She founded Aspire for Her in 2020, and in just last 5 years, probably 6 years, in last 6 years, this is the 6th year problem. They have a mission to add 10 million women to Indian workforce by 2030, and they're quite there to achieve it. So they're building a powerful community of supporting women careers and entrepreneurship. So her platform runs initiatives such as Entrepreneury, She Exports, helping women-led ventures expand globally. She's part of the Stanford Seed Program, class of 2025, strengthening her organization's strategic growth and leadership journey. She was recognized as a top 3 SEOY India 2024 finalist. She continues to champion gender equity and women economic empowerment and scale. The last panelist for the day is Mr. Vivek Prakash. Mr. Vivek Prakash is a Senior Vice President and Head of Jubilant Bhartia Foundation. He oversees CSR strategy for Jubilant Bhartia Group and leads the foundation, impacting over 2 million lives individual across 26 locations in 14 states of India. He played a foundational role in establishing the Jubilant Bhartia Foundation and quite recently the current initiative Bharat Impact, which is strengthening India's towards strengthening India's social entrepreneurship ecosystem. So he has over 25 years of experience working in this particular domain, driving strategic planning, risk management, stakeholder management, and sustainable development initiative. He has also mentored and supported social enterprises through collaboration with institutions like IMA Ventures and other ecosystem partners. So helping founders define model and scale purpose-driven, supported by the cross CSR leadership and incubation role that he has played. Now that's a kind of very heavy, so as to say, panel that we have, and just the introduction itself speaks volume, the kind of work that they're doing. So the program flow, and this is for the people who have joined us. So the program flow for today will be, this will be a panel discussion, while you will also have your own queries, while coming up during this discussion. Please feel free to drop it in the chat box. We will be taking those queries at the end of this discussion, and we'll be directing it to the panelists, right? So I would now request Mr. Vivek Prakash to shed light on the overall evolution of this entire partnership. Because, sir, you have engaged with the Schwab Foundation since early years. How did this relationship started in India, and how it has reshaped the Jubilant Bhartia Foundation's approach? So over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajendra, for detailed introduction of all the panelists. I think you have already explained that our journey with Schwab Foundation started 16 years back. So this is the 17th year of partnership where we are going to get another pool of social entrepreneurs in our network. So when we started, in fact, we started learning about social entrepreneurship. So our exposure was not under this domain, but we learned a lot through this partnership. And over the time when we also realized that lot of not-for-profit and for-profit or hybrid social entrepreneurs are growing in this country, and how to support those startups also who are really interested to address some of the social issues in a sustainable manner. So with that, vision. In fact, last year, we started this Bharat Impact, a center for incubation for startups. So I think this journey has given us a lot, not only the network of these people who have created some impact in the society, but also given us a very big vision to create a platform where a new uh, youth who are really interested to do something, they will come on board, and so we will be able to provide them support through this a pool of social entrepreneurs who have gone through this award process. So now we are having very good pool of such eminent social entrepreneurs who were award winner of Social Entrepreneur of the Year award or finalist. At the same time, we are having a big pool of expert from our company, our business side, and they will become a mentor for the startup. So this journey has given us strength to do some more work in this domain. So I think it's a win-win situation for us. So we have learned a lot, and certainly through this award, when a new entrepreneurs will come on board, this we will see them, we will evaluate them, and certainly we will recommend them for this award, so that Schwab Foundation can also recognize them, and then they will get global platform and many other advantage they will get out of this. So this is from my side.
Thank you so much, sir. I think this reminds me of something that we always start with every due diligence that we do. You often say that we are not there to kind of screen you. We are. This is for us like a pilgrimage, wherein we are just learning. We are just getting into the spirituality. I mean, part of it. But it feels like when we interact with these startups, with these entrepreneurs, it feels like we're there in a pilgrimage just to learn. That's the kind of effect it has been on us. Now continuing further, I am going to Dr. Francois. Dr. Francois, you just completed last year. You marked 25 years of staff of this foundation's year of 25 years for Schwab Foundation. Uh, Now, one of the most important thing and what people would be rather intrigued to understand is, you know, kind of how this all started. So could you briefly kind of walk us through the Schwab Foundation's mandate, the journey, the whys of it, why it was established, how it kind of evolved over the years that you've seen. So it's a kind of journey of Schwab Foundation from its beginning to the 25 years that you have come across.
Thank you so much, Urgenda, and hi to everyone, and especially to this wonderful panel of friends and incredible people that I respect. I've just got off a plane, and I hopefully will be coherent enough to enjoy this time with you. So the history of the Schwab Foundation and the Jubilant Partnership, as you say, has been many, many years. And the founder of the World Economic Forum and his wife, Sir Klaus and Hilda Schwab, essentially established the foundation, having been inspired and met people like Professor Muhammad Yunus from Grameen, Faisal Abed from BRAC, and seeing different approaches to how countries were approaching development and how private individuals were using also the power of the market and market mechanisms and innovation to drive higher impact social change. And also they were seeing different ways of doing business. So some of these were using business models. And given the platform of the World Economic Forum, thought two things could be achieved. The first was to bring visibility earlier on and at a higher stage to people like Faisal Abed and Muhammad Yunus, who took 30 years for their work to be recognized, and thought, well, we have this platform. This is important to bring visibility, legitimacy, opportunities for partnership, growth, and understanding of what sometimes happens without visibility. So that was the first, is how do they use the platform of the World Economic Forum and create a dedicated foundation to bring visibility and opportunity. The second was the other way around, was the fact that social entrepreneurs like those that we have on this panel see something quite different to what world leaders of today see and how they shape the world. And so the second was to use them as important voices to influence the way that business and government think about how they operate. And so in a way, we also create the community to bring a different perspective and bring a different voice into global discussions or regional discussions. And so that was really the origins. Actually, it was started off as $1 million prize for one social entrepreneur. And they gathered, this is the kind of really interesting history of the foundation. They gathered 40 incredible social entrepreneurs from around the world for the very first cohort. And I think they brought them all to Geneva in Switzerland and said, at the end of this gathering, we're going to select one of you. And this is kind of the thinking, when you start something, they thought, oh, we'll do a big prize. And after the second or third day, I think there was such a sense of meeting like-minded people and such a sense that what was possible of meeting together, that the community came back and said on the second day, we don't want any single one of us to get the prize. We would rather you use that funding to bring us together as a community and give us access to the World Economic Forum. And so that, really the strategy of the foundation was built by the people in it and the community that initially was gathered. And those of you who've been part of the community know that a big part of it is really the combination and the strength of understanding different models, but also having the solidarity and support. As we know, leading social enterprises is both a challenging and sometimes a lonely journey in the leadership role. So creating the support network, and then we provide different opportunities and access to the activities of the forum and learning journeys from around the world, because social innovation is really a global movement, and one that is increasing with recognition. And then over time, we've done more to bring visibility to the sector, our research, our reports around what's happening, opportunities that governments can take with different policy mechanisms to support this in their own countries, as what we believe is an important instrument for inclusive growth. So I'll leave it at that, Raj, unless you have further follow-up questions.
So I do have multiple questions, and I'm sure people who are participating in this would want me to ask follow-up questions on this. But I'll come back to you, and let's just go around and now, whatever we've set the context, let's move from the platform to the entrepreneurs whose journey has been shaped by it. And I'll go to Mr. Aniket Doigar. Sir, just wanted to understand, from starting Hak Darshak to winning SEOY India, there must have been a tangible shift which followed with credibility with the partners or the policy access or expansion into the new areas, and kind of changes that happen on day-to-day basis. So what was the journey like being part of this particular community, and how it has shaped Hak Darshak and you probably you'd say as a leader? Thank you.
Thanks, Rajendra, and great to be here on the panel. I think the process itself is something that is really interesting, and we as a team really enjoy it. I think so anybody who's joining in today and is looking to apply should really see and enjoy the process, because it is a deep dive into your own impact and what you've been doing. So I think our journey started from there. And I think the larger and the biggest kind of opportunity for us, or how we've looked from our journey from SEOY and then going to the Schwab World Economic Forum, has been the community, the network of peer entrepreneurs. I think the biggest learning and asset is other social entrepreneurs, the kind of learning and also a lot of fun, which is very, very important to have in this journey, and like learning from each other in terms of success, failure, challenges. So I think that's really what has shaped, I would say, pre-SEOY and now. I think the biggest learning in the ecosystem is from fantastic people like the ones we have on the panel to learn from them. And I think Schwab Foundation and Jubilant Bhartia gives that opportunity. It's also like any program is what you make of it. So I think that's very, very important. You have to be present. You have to be out there. You have to be participative. So I think it's not something like a predefined program where you have to go in and there will be sessions, and also just to also share with the larger set of entrepreneurs who would have heard of the program. It's a lot about what you as a social entrepreneur bring to the table. Because as much as you are learning, you are also contributing. So I think that's been the learning journey for us at Haddarsha.
Thank you. So when you said about the application itself, at times we have to hear from people, how long you've created this application. It takes a lot of effort. But I feel, that's what you said. It's part of the experience. You're able to introspect. And then moving forward to Ashraf, you've been part of the professional journey you shifted from corporate and then corporate stepping into this impact space. We would love to understand your transition into this sector and then eventually being part of the SEOY India in the Schwab community. So what was the meaningful difference that you saw in your journey from other networks or platforms that you have encountered? Yes. You are me.
Thanks, Rajinder, and many, many congratulations to everyone here and SEOY celebrating so many years of great work. I think my work is in youth leadership, and the whole idea, it also started when we were young ourselves, and the whole deal was that why do we wait to build leadership of senior, invest in leadership at such a late stage when you're in organizations, only when you reach positions of power. And the whole idea was, let's work with young people and build youth leadership early on, so with a certain sense of orientation towards issues of justice, diversity, equality, and freedom and liberty. That kind of constitution values can be embedded into youth leadership across the country. So I think that has been the primary work and the transition that we build a whole sector around youth leadership. And at that time when we started, it wasn't a field, so to speak. And I think that's what both Prava and Community that I have been part of, and many, many organizations through that, that has been the main journey. And what's been most meaningful in this relationship with SEOY and the impact of this engagement has been when we became runners-up. I just want to share this. When we became runners-up in 2018, we were Prava and Community together as two institutions. One was the recognition that there's a value of an organization, but there's also value of a collective, and how organizations and collectives need to work together and break these boundaries that we have between institutions. And in 2019 was when we set up the Vartali Coalition, which is a coalition of 150 organizations and practitioners in the youth leadership field. So to my mind, the community of SEOY and the introduction to not only the SEOY fellows, but also the Schwab Foundation fellows was a real turning point for us, as we found a lot of Schwab fellows and SEOY fellows opportunities to partner with them. And many of them are members of the Vartali Coalition. So the whole co-creation of the coalition process happened thanks to the community. So the most significant thing I want to share is the value of working together and making youth leadership not an agenda of just youth organizations and educators and social workers, but youth leadership should be at the heart of everybody's work. It's each one of us, our responsibility. So I think that's been one big contribution of this whole community of SEOY and the Schwab Fellows. And I like to say that what we have learned and what we have built together is a community of love, learning, and social hope. And I think that's what we need. That's what makes meaning to me. And I think that's what makes meaning to many of us, and that's our mission together.
Thank you. We'll now move probably to healthcare, where solution often carry a global relevance. Dr. Sachin Bajaj, your journey, you started from one hospital and now are into a multi-state affordable care network, which is remarkable in the time frame that you've done. So, sir, please share your journey of how SEOY recognition, being part of the Schwab network, the Schwab community, and engaging into multiple programs, how it has strengthened apart from the journey, how it has strengthened your advocacy for quality and affordable healthcare system, not just in India, but at a global level.
I think it has been truly transformational. I hear you when you say the application is quite long, takes effort. I did twice. I did not the first time I applied. It is a very competitive award, and filling that application I think is truly worth it. And it was a very humbling moment when I did win the award. But I think I realized something important very quickly also, that this recognition is not really just a milestone, it is a multiplier. It doesn't validate that your work is complete. It amplifies your responsibility to scale it and move it to a more systems level. Before the award, we were building hospitals in small towns, solving for access, affordability, and quality. After the award, I think something's shifted very clearly, that credibility became our currency. Doors opened very easily to policymakers, global institutions, investors. Conversations that would earlier take months to start off now could happen in minutes because the connections were so quick and so available. The narrative also became much bigger than the organization. Earlier, I was talking only about Ujala Cygnus. Now we are talking about a model of healthcare delivery for emerging economies, building a whole systems level intervention. And I think we are moving now from more of operators to more of advocates, to influencing how systems should be designed. Because entrepreneurship is very important, but it is not really sufficient to solve the problem completely, because entrepreneurship will solve a problem for some time, but then the systems, if you don't solve for them, will often recreate those problems, right? For example, in healthcare, we can build a very good hospital in a small town, and Jubilant also has had that experience, that you can build a great hospital, but if reimbursement systems are broken, your quality will suffer. If incentives are misaligned, outcomes will not improve. If your data is opaque, accountability will not really happen. So question after this award, I think, is more of, are we building successful enterprises, or are we really changing the system that created that problem in the first place? I think that is more of a focus for making sure that you work more on systems change. And I think we are working on it at multiple levels. One is, of course, the delivery innovation, already working on it, affordability, high quality hospitals, starting eye care units, because preventable blindness is such a high number of 85 million people in India are suffering from preventable blindness just due to one disease, cataract. So leveraging your frugal innovation, using digital tools to scale, I think that proof of concept we are already building. But what we are also now increasingly doing is market shaping, how to advocate for fair reimbursement, how to advocate for standardizing quality, etc. As you said, I've joined the board of NABH also now. I think that is also in part due to this recognition. And advocating with the government how delayed payments are destroying care delivery. Also ecosystem building, right? Bringing together the for-profit social enterprises globally, that Aniket is playing a large role in kicking off, creating a new category of market-minded, mission-driven organizations. Because systems today don't really fully understand us, right? We are not NGOs, not for profits. We are not a traditional profit maximizing corporations. So we are something in between, and the future depends on getting this model right. So I think the most impactful solutions in some ways are coming from entrepreneurs who understand the markets but are also driven by mission. But the problem is that these models still today are still treated as exceptions, not the new normal. And I think that is where systems change must happen. We need to do more newer fencing models, policy focus for them, newer metrics of success we need to define for them. So I think earlier, before this recognition, my main goal was how many hospitals can I build, right? 40, 50. Now the question is more on how many systems can I influence. Because if we get the systems right, I think then we can have thousands of hospitals with better care, not just 40, 50, and millions of patients benefiting. And quality will no longer depend on geography or income. I think the journey has become much easier in some aspects, but much harder in other respects, because now you are expected not to speak just for your own organization, but for an entire way of thinking. And it gives you, this bigger responsibility that you are not here to just build one institution, you are here to redesign complete systems, which is a larger responsibility. So I think given a wider thought and making sure that systems do not, recreate those problems that entrepreneurs are trying to solve is something that I am trying to work on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, what I hear till now, and I would like to talk to the people that have joined us, is the power of community. The power of community that you see over here. People who are already doing some work and they would have kind of grown into something. I mean, they're still doing great and they would have still been great. But it is the community that again and again, the word that comes and the component which everyone is kind of sharing is the part of caring, sharing, and growing. So it's kind of doing all these things together while kind of narrating it, right? So again, now we are moving to a different dimension of entrepreneurship, and I said community. So let's move to Miss Madhura Dasgupta, understanding the women leadership and the workforce participation from her side. So again, ma'am, you've been a career banker, and then you transitioned into something of a different space, building a million women community and the ambitious goal of reaching 10 million women. Right. So how did the SEOY exposure, the experience, and then Stanford Seed amplified the seriousness with which employers, funders, and partners started viewing your mission? And you're quite young in the way that you've kind of grown really fast from the year you started in 2020. Over to you.
Thank you, Rajinder. And first of all, I'd like to share a warm welcome to all of you. It is so nice to see all the inspirers in my life here on this panel. So warm welcome to Aniket, Ashraf, Chintan, Francois, Vivekji, Shitin, and of course, Rajinder. It's really a pleasure to have all of you at Aspire for Her. And it has been like Rajinder mentioned, in fact, I was just thinking of the number of times that one word has been used throughout all conversations, and that one word is community. And that is what we believe in at Aspire for Her. But truly, it is also the strength of what Jubilant Bhartia and Schwab Foundation have created together. This whole power of community is something that you cannot really touch and feel, but it is something that really ignites your inner power, your inner strength. So what we always try to do is the SEOY awards are a very special milestone in our life. I'll talk a little bit about our journey and how SEOY changed a little bit of our trajectory as well. But our whole idea is always to get resources like this, opportunities like this, access like this to our entire community, so that people know what these kind of opportunities, what doors they can open, what new ideas they can ignite, and what new opportunities can perhaps get catalyzed in conversations like this and in rooms like this. So thank you so much, Vivekji and Rajinder, for actually getting this done. I know we do this every year. But the whole idea is really not the spotlight on us, but the spotlight on all of you and all the great work that you're doing, so that the next year on, we can actually see all of you on the stage of SEOY. So SEOY, as all of you know, stands for Social Entrepreneurship of the Year Award. This team has been working tirelessly for the last 16 years to actually create this whole platform, to create this stage. But what is really social entrepreneurship? Shichin, I think, mentioned it very beautifully. There are this set of people who are completely profit-seeking on one side. They run commercial enterprises and do great work for the country and for the society and for the industry. And on the other side, there are non-profits who work with a very different model. Social entrepreneurs probably lie somewhere in the middle. We want to create sustainable businesses. We want to ensure that sustainability actually powers social good. And we're always very, very mission driven. As you see, all of these folks over here. In Aspire for Her, we are a community-based organization, like many of you. And we have been trying to unleash the true potential of the women of our country. And by potential, I mean economic potential. Only 18% of India's economy is really contributed by women, and there's a declining trajectory of women in the workforce. When I saw all of this data, I felt somebody had to do something to solve this problem. So yes, after 25 years in banking, I thought that this is the right moment for that somebody to step in, and that somebody should be me. So that's how Aspire for Her was born. We've had a fascinating journey for the last 5 years, and clearly, I will say this about social entrepreneurship, that it has been personally and professionally the most fulfilling part of my career, as it is, I'm sure, for many of you sitting here right in this room. When we started, we drew a line in the sand and we said, we want to add 1 million women to the economy by 2025. And that happened. That happened in October 2025, with about 86 days to spare in the year. And then we said, hey, now that the community strength is 1 million, let's actually see what we can do in the next 5 years. And we said, yes, 10 million by 2030 is what we look for. And that's the number of women that we wish to impact. That's the number of women that we wish to welcome into the economy as they pursue excellent careers, either in employment or in entrepreneurship. So that's what we do. And I will talk about two things that the SEOY actually did for us, other than, of course, the recognition and the spotlight, and somewhere giving us the confidence in the courage of conviction that we already had about doing something like this. Because women in our country, they have had rather tortuous paths towards employment and entrepreneurship, and often a huge mindset shift is required, not just for society, but also for the women themselves, and which is a part of the role that we try to play. But the two things that it's done for us is in terms of access and opportunity. And I'll talk about one example of, where our sort of qualification here actually helped us also in the Stanford Seed program. And the Stanford Seed world opened up to us. And so therefore, suddenly I found myself faced with almost like I was a kid in a candy shop with the kind of inspiring folks, both from the social entrepreneurship side and from the entrepreneurship side, all coming together. And I met this wonderful set of people, wonderful community, both on this side and on the Stanford Seed side, who really, really added a lot of diversity, a lot of richness to our own journey. I can't express how that entire support has shaped our journey, has strengthened our journey. And I know that every time that I need something, every time that I need a connection, I know I can just pick up the phone and I can speak to any one of these folks over here. And for any entrepreneur, that is such a powerful moment of truth. So I would love for all of you to look within your community for all the strength, ask for all the help that you need, because this journey is often lonely, is often isolating, and you really, really need friends in this journey. The second piece that it really, helped us was that it actually helped us, put together our story in a far more coherent way. So yes, after winning the SEOY, we hit the 1 million mark. Is it only because of SEOY? Of course not. But it did help us in telling our story much better. It did help us in ensuring that along with the access, we had a lot more opportunity. And like Shichin said, sometimes doors get open because there is a credibility in the work that you're doing. And the credibility doesn't only come from what you are saying, but it's because what others are saying. And I know I'll leave you with one more thought, that it is an arduous process. It's not a very easy process to apply for this, but that journey of applying for this award was so cathartic for us and was so fulfilling that it actually really, really helped us also understand ourselves a lot better. There's a point in the journey when you actually have to get various stakeholders, your clients, your partners, your beneficiaries, and everybody to come in and talk about you. And when we did that entire session, and I think Rajinder, you will remember that it was a very long day, which we sort of divided into very short intervals of people coming and talking about us. And it just turned out to be so immensely fulfilling and full of joy because we realized what others were saying about us. And that was really, really a beautiful moment. And I'll never forget that. More important than the award itself was really that process. So I would really recommend all of you to put your hand up and to spend those few hours in putting together a really good application, something that Vivek ji and Rajinder will find it very difficult to sort of evaluate, because we want them to get so many great applications from India. There's so much of good work happening here. We want them to get so many great applications that truly it should become a difficult process for them to choose the right SEOI for this year. So thank you so much, Rajinder, and thank you so much for having me on this panel.
Thank you. For those who are not aware, Stanford Seed Program is one of the another initiative, obviously, of the Stanford Seed community, but at Jubilant Bhartia Foundation, through the Hindustan Times Scholarship, from last 5 years, this was another spin-off from our experience of the Social Entrepreneur of the Year award, that we are now also supporting some of the entrepreneurs and preferably the finalists being part of those programs. Now, and now shifting from this inspiring, kind of journey of understanding how everyone from our community went through it, I'm moving towards Chintan sir. I mean, let's hear, from somebody who has mentored hundreds of founders. What inflection points do you routinely see when these social entrepreneurs gain recognition on platforms like SEOY India, especially around the investor trust, talent attraction, or their institutional access in terms of their scale-up journey? Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Rajinder, and good evening, everyone. Wonderful to be here again. I think this is the second time when I'm part of this panel for the SEOI Awards. So no, I think it's been fairly well laid out by the founders who have been recipient of the awards, past awards, as to what's the benefit of an award like this. The entrepreneurial journey is an extremely challenging one. And if you're a social entrepreneur, probably the challenges multiply manyfold. Not only are you trying to do other things, other challenges, business challenges, organizational funding, etc., but you're also trying to kind of tackle the fact that you're operating in a domain where there is some sort of a market failure, right? So it's an additional challenge as a founder of a social enterprise. So an award like SEOI, I think, will probably go a long way. As I mentioned, some of the things have been already mentioned by the founders, but whether it is building trust, whether it is attracting talent, as you mentioned, Rajinder, whether it is kind of having that additional delta when you're standing in front of an investor. Right? I mean, you may not have the trajectory of growth that a typical tech startup might have, but if you have that additional delta in form of the recognition of a very prestigious award like the SEOI award, I think it makes a significant difference. As incubators, accelerators, and Rajinder, you would know that, our objective is really to help startups get over some of the biggest risks. I mean, as a founder may have multiple risks, but as incubator accelerators, we try and identify the biggest risk that the founder is kind of facing at that point of time, and we try to provide whatever support we can to help the founder get over the risk. I mean, ultimately, it's the founder who has to kind of leverage whatever support you provide. And as Aniket was saying, it's really up to the founder how to leverage, the credibility that comes through an award like an SEOY. So I think this kind of an award is almost like getting that support that you would get through a world-class accelerator. Get a very it's really that delta which helps you kind of move up a level, and then you can focus on some of the other things. So yeah, I mean, at the risk of sort of repeating myself, I think it's very, very important for an early stage founder. All of these things, whether it is capital, whether it is being part of a cohort or recognition through an award like an SEOY, all of these help, but ultimately it's up to the founder on how to leverage it, right? How to build on whatever you get through some of these awards, recognitions, programs, etc. So yeah, I think, hoping that this year we are able to see some exciting and promising, aspirational, early stage social entrepreneurs who apply and finally one gets awarded. So yeah, looking forward to the award. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I'm jumping directly to Francois, because people at times wonder, those who are participating, who are here or who are going to apply. And just to tell you, at this moment, while we're discussing, we have received more than 130 applications, so as to say, and those are like still, these are just 12 days of when we launch the application. So that's the kind of support, that's the kind of attraction we're getting. Understanding from you, Dr. Francois, once a social entrepreneur becomes part of the Schwab community, how are they actively engaged by the Schwab Foundation and the World Economic Forum? Some of the activities, if you could walk through. I recently saw Piyush, the winner of last year SEOY, part of the Harvard, at Harvard University, part of a leadership program. So what are the different engagements that we have? I think we lost him. Yeah, but yeah, in the meantime, he joins us. Let me just continue the conversation that we are having. Let us just move to the Davos forum for once, and let's understand.
So Rajendra, I think you have the Francois. We lost Francois due to network issue. Actually, this award is trying to give lot of opportunity beside this Davos engagement, because Dr. Suchin is here, Aniket is here, Ashraf is also here. So they have seen this journey. It's not just Davos, but like MDP program. So I think Francois, you have.
Yes, Francois.
Yeah.
Yes, apologies, my laptop died, so just connected with mobile here. I got the question. So first of all, I wanted to say, I think the partnership we have with Jubilant is really unique and special. It's long-standing, as you say, and so there is both an strong Indian community, and of course, it's the country where we see some of the most impressive, innovative and scaled social innovation in the world and high impact. And I think that's largely due to just the talent of the people, the opportunities, the creativity. But there's a very special community, I think, in India as well as the global community. And so when fellows also join the global community, there is this additional level of exposure. And as you heard, I think Aniket, Ashraf, and Shuchin all saying, that the community itself, I think, is probably one of the strongest aspects to it. But then, of course, there are educational opportunities. You mentioned this program on system leadership we've run at Harvard. That is going to evolve actually in the years to come. We were just discussing with Harvard how that program is going to evolve. We have actual learning journeys where social entrepreneurs learn from each other in different parts of the world. And I think that's really important because, they can meet in Delhi, they can meet in Davos, but it's very different actually meeting on the ground and seeing each other's work and really speaking to the teams and speaking to their clients and communities and really understanding the work that different people do as well as different contexts. and how work translates across borders. So I think that's important, particularly as they're looking to perhaps expand their work or learn from others. So there is that component, which is the Schwab Foundation. We have our own summit each year, where we also bring in members of the Global Alliance for Social Entrepreneurship, which is a global coalition of more than 120 organizations, businesses, international organizations, foundations that are interested in advancing social entrepreneurship. Ad hoc connections with companies or other partners. And then, of course, we've done roundtables around policy work, so trying to engage governments in different parts of the world, which may or may not be relevant to everyone. And then, of course, there are the activities and the main events of the World Economic Forum, which is an opportunity to integrate into a more economic agenda globally, but then understand and have exposure to what's going on. And those we have events in, the big ones are obviously our annual meeting in Davos, which is a very limited opportunity for everyone to go to. So not everybody gets to go, unfortunately. And then we have a summer Davos in China. And then we have different kind of topics depending on what it is. We have an energy summit in Saudi. We have a technology summit in San Francisco, etc. So there's more than enough that everyone can do, but it's about, I think, as Aniket said, is what you put into it, and also selecting those that might be of value. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
No, it so happens when we meet as a community, and again we use the word, we kind of always lose the track of time, and this is what has happened today as well. But I'll still take some few more minutes, and then probably redirect some of the questions that we're receiving from the audience. And the question, and I'll request Vivek sir, if you can take this question. So they say, so there is a question that we often get: are non-profits also eligible for this award? Is it only for the for-profit enterprises? If you can answer that.
I think especially for this award, and which we are also doing advocacy with the government, that we should, because till date, especially in India, there is no proper definition of social enterprise or entrepreneurs. But we always advocate that any enterprise which is addressing social issues are social enterprise, no matter whether you are a for-profit or not-for-profit or hybrid. So the purpose should be to address the social issues, and that has been accepted because recently in the month of February I met in Niti Aayog, so they are trying to now define it properly. So I submitted this proposal to them also. So I think what we are accepting for this SEOY, any organization which is addressing social issues, creating impact, whether they are for-profit, not-for-profit, or hybrid, they are social enterprise, and they can apply for this award, and we will certainly see their work, their impact, and accordingly we will recommend for this award.
And I'm now quickly going across the panel members. Two things I would, if you can share your kind of your inputs, is number one, Davos. We hear a lot about Davos and how you being part of the Davos. What actually happens for you over there, and kind of how you are able to leverage that in your growth journey. So starting from Aniket sir, if you can share the journey at Davos. So it's often hidden, but we want people to know now.
I think personally, it's just a very fantastic opportunity and like acknowledgement of the work that the team puts in. And you are able to be the person who can showcase the work, get the opportunity to also get a pulse of an intersection of both the corporate and the social world, because Davos is kind of sets the tone for the year. So I think that's a amazing opportunity that in the first place. It does get overwhelming when you go there on the first time. It always does. So I think it's a place where I think you need to be really prepared. But I think it was an amazing opportunity. And again, just the access to be able to go and talk to people who can really make a difference in your work, right? So whether they are corporates or foundations or political leaders, So I think that was really fantastic, and like others have also mentioned, it's a great validation. In a lot of our work, while we continue the work on the ground, these kind of external validations really help in then taking that dialogue coming back home. So going to Davos is one thing, but then bringing that experience back home to India and then talking to both the teams and ecosystem partners really helps as well.
Achraf ma'am, and there is a question as well. I see that how many award categories. So just to tell people that we have only one winner, and just relating with that, asking you another question is your experience in Davos. I was just trying to correlate two things that people are trying to ask us is how many categories. We only have one category, and because you've been a winner yourself, how was the experience in Davos, and what are the critical things that you've taken up as a part of the network?
Okay, let me just share honestly also in the sense of my experience. I think uh, had not been in such a, obviously it's one of a kind platform. So one is great exposure, of course. You see on ground the politics and the government representatives as well as the corporates. All the folks are there. As civil society, I talk from the civil society group, social entrepreneurs. I think it's an important place. And my experience was that some of the Schwab fellows used it very effectively for placing the agendas that we need to place with these two categories of the real power players in the world. Let's face it, they are running the world, and therefore the role of social entrepreneurs in this platform to do their very best to shift the narrative towards the issues that we want to. I think that's what Davos is for us as social entrepreneurs, and that's what my experience was very good for some of the seeing how this is done by some of the skillful advocates. And it's therefore a learning. We need to learn how to do this better. I just want to shift. Yeah, you said you had 1 minute. I just want to share. There's a wonderful convening group of collective social innovators that I was part of, and I'm still part of. And I think Schwab Foundation has played a fantastic role in bringing this together. These are social entrepreneurs who build and nurture collectives and the collectivization. And the best part of it is, I think, what this group is doing together with a lot of energy from the Schwab Foundation is building the narrative around the need for collectivization, for collective social innovation, that this world is not going to make any difference. No, we are not, as individual organizations, individuals are not going to make the difference that we need to make, and therefore bringing together. And there's a lovely, very good high impact report called The Future is Collective. And it also has case studies and best practices on collectivization around the world. For me, and for all of us, at least in our sector, we feel this is a very important agenda that needs attention from everyone, every sector. And I think it's great to have SEOY, Schwab Foundation, putting energies and fellows in this and inviting everyone here, winners or non-winners, everyone in the process to participate in collective social innovation.
Dr. Sachin, you've been part of multiple such forums through the Schwab network. What has been your experience in terms of taking the affordable care aspect into the global audience? As you said, you're focusing on something now. The focus is totally shifted into something of larger vision. What has the kind of those engagement done to you and now?
I think all these global events open your eyes and your vision much, much bigger than what you were thinking earlier, and your purpose becomes much larger. And when people talk about Davos, they usually feel, it's a very glamorous kind of a place where, all the jet setters are. But I think it's very different. I think it's a great melting pot of ideas, influence, and intent. And most of the best meetings actually happen outside the conference. They happen on the funicular going up and down from your hotel, while walking on the street, while sitting down for a coffee. in the evening. So the informal breakfast conversations, corridor conversations, late night conversations, that is why truly I think the partnerships are formed and the ideas are tested and collaborations begin. This year, I remember the Director General of WHO was sitting with us till late at night, at one of the informal events post the conference. And the conversations we had with him during that time, I don't think we could ever have had in a formal setting. So I think these global events and conferences and interactions help us all to become much more intentional, to have a much wider conversation, and think of ecosystem building rather than institution building. These are some of the things that I feel have been very, very intentional for me.
Thank you. Madhura, so for all the women change makers, and you've been working with them, the Entrepreneurial Network is doing amazing work. What's your message and why they should apply? And what are the key things that you probably would want to leave it to them, to and to encourage them to apply for this award?
Well, I think before that, Rajinder, I think you might want to answer Mukesh's question. He's actually typed it out very patiently on the chat. He really wants us to guide him. So maybe while you take a look at it and it just sort of answer the question. I think I'll just keep it very short. Women typically hate talking about their own work. Women think that their action will speak louder than words, and they don't really like filling up long forms and applications. And that's the reason why one of the reasons why we had this session and we invited everybody to come here. Is because it's very important for women who are running social enterprises to really talk about your work, because every time you speak, you ensure that you do inspire others, you motivate others, and it just becomes the social snowballing effect actually becomes something which is very, very real. So we really want you to speak more about yourself, to talk about yourselves, to tell your story, because no one can do it better than you can. And doing it on a platform like this, which is very credible, very, very respected across the globe, not just in India. It's truly a very, very beautiful experience. So I would really like to encourage every woman to talk more, to talk about their story, and to ensure that the world actually gets to know about you. It will not just happen just because you won this award, but even if you haven't won it, and your story will reverberate in circles around in the social entrepreneurship space. So I'd love to encourage all entrepreneurs to shed their inhibitions, their hesitation, their imposter syndrome, and sign up and tell your story. So, yeah, Rajinder, over to you for the question that Mukesh had as well.
Yes, sure. I'll just come back quickly. Francois, your final thoughts on this, and why? I mean, you've seen a lot of Indian social entrepreneurs doing so much amazing thing, adding value to the Schwab network. Your final words that you would want to leave with.
No, just to echo Madhura, I think encourage people to think about applying, because I think the process itself can be helpful. Obviously, you need to think about when's the right timing. And I think there's a lot of support from the Jubilant team. And so just my final thing is a thanks to the Jubilant team, who really do such meticulous work in preparing this entire process and interacting with all the social entrepreneurs in India. And exciting that we'll be also hopefully doing some research this year on social entrepreneurship in India together with the Jubilant Bhartia Foundation. So this is important, while the award symbolizes one, this is really about uplifting a whole sector, and it's to signal the kinds of things that are going on. And so while the support may be to one, I think that it's important that we continue to work together and recognize that there is a whole community of social entrepreneurs out there, which is why we have a coalition of actors, why we work on policy, why the research is important as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. On Mukesh, you've yourself answered the question. You said you're a social health startup, which itself means there is a value that you're adding already in the community. Yes, you can apply, you must apply. And if you have any further queries, we can kind of discuss in detail. Our email addresses are over there, and probably through those email, we can also connect over call if you wish for us to kind of engage further. Chintan sir, final words from your side on how why do you think people, especially in the startup ecosystem now, people have this question: I'm a tech guy, should I apply? Should I not apply? And given that we are in an age of AI, where AI is making so many changes, transformative changes, your words, your message for those people.
No, I think these are exciting times. Of course, whenever there's a new technology disruption, it kind of goes both ways. It has positives and negatives. But I think for the social impact space, for the social entrepreneurship space, AI has the potential of unlocking value in a lot of sectors where we may not have seen too much startup activity or too much innovative social entrepreneurial activities. I mean, I'll just quickly, I know we are sort of over short time, but to give one quick example, we have at IMA Ventures worked with a lot of startups or social enterprises which have created impact, livelihood impact on women micro entrepreneurs or let's say small farmers, etc. Now that is one area where we haven't seen a lot of scale and a lot of success getting built. I mean, social enterprises and startups, who are working in the livelihood space majority of them have got stuck because of issues of not scaling beyond a point. But I think with AI, there's a potential that sort of obstacle or that hindrance can be taken care of, because now technology and therefore scalability can happen even at the grassroots level. Right, AI can enable even a woman micro entrepreneur who's doing some craft to use technology and to build efficiency at her level so that it doesn't become a bottleneck for someone who's helping her and helping that set of women entrepreneurs to access markets, etc. So these are, I think, exciting times. I hope there are more livelihood kind of enterprises, businesses which apply for the award this year, and looking forward to the applications and the final awardees. Yeah.
Really grateful to all the panelists. We've overshoot the time. As I said, in community at times it happens that we go overboard, and we kind of we have gone like 17 minutes on top of it. But I know people will continue to have more such queries, different queries, and largely that we get these days is, I'm a tech kind of platform. Do I meet the eligibility requirements? At the end of the day, if your product is making an impact and it has a potential to scale up, and you can be the ambassador which are there in front of her, something similar that you can work out, feel free to apply, feel free to write. There is, you don't need to think twice on top of it, right? So I'm really grateful to this August panel, Aniket, Ashraf, Chintan, Dr. Sachin, Dr. Francois, Madhura, and Mr. Vivek Prakash, everyone who were part of this panel. Thank you so much. I mean, as I said, every year we meet this, once or twice, but it is always amazing to hear you. It really feels like a pilgrimage where we're just learning, it's a part of, again, a spiritual journey. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone who patiently heard us, the panelists, and stayed here for this time. I'm sure we have also gone live, so there are other people on that side who have heard us. And as I said, this year the start is amazing. I mean, while we are discussing, let me just tell you, 12 more applications have come. So I'll just tell you the pace at which these people are moving. We're close to now 150. But it's not just the numbers. It is the quality that we are able to get it from the people, and it's really, really difficult because we are making life hard for us because we've created such a long form, such a long application form. Then you have to go through it, and at the end of it, it's really difficult for us to kind of screen it. But again, I would say that is amazing amazing thing for us, a good to have problem for us, right? So again, I will wrap this webinar today. Express my gratitude to the entire team of Aspire for Her again for supporting us like every year they do it. Amazing work. Thank you, Priya, Farisha, the team that has been working behind. So thank you so much. Yes. I request everyone to apply for the award. And if you have any queries, please feel free to write to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.